You're listening to the Raw Reaction on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
April 11th, the Angry Tensai, joined as always by the Prince of Wrestling, Big Vic. Big Vic, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Dude, I am doing well, brother. I am doing well. I am well rested and well versed on Raw. And I know we discussed this for about 5 seconds before the show. I absolutely love Raw this evening.
I thought Raw was very good as well, but I will say this, though, as good as the action is, I came to a conclusion tonight, Big Vic. We're seeing great action in the ring, but I do believe there needs to be better storytelling by the writers instead of wasting the efforts of these great matches. But I have to say, wrestling alone, Raw delivered on pure wrestling, an A-type performance tonight. Very impressive show.
Yeah, I really like it. And the last 2 weeks, I think, and you get a little bit of this after WrestleMania anyway. They sort of shake things up. It's almost like I don't want to necessarily say a brand split, but I mean you see a lot of things thrown against the wall. Where I mean I think we're pretty dang close here to now having a Bates Wyatt family if we aren't already there with them. They've sort of gone from a pretty stale act. Who was just, we were sort of waiting for Bray Wyatt to do something. And then last 2 weeks, they've really pushed them against the League of Nations, who, or whether you like them or not, I think they're a pretty good heel tag.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I really like the Wyatts having a problem with the League of Nations, but I think the crowd tonight, there was a segment where Alberto Del Rio, Sheamus, and Rusev cut off Roman Reigns, was about to talk, and they basically said if any of them are about to get in the ring with Reigns, they'd rip them apart. The crowd actually forgot for a few minutes that they're supposed to, well, not supposed to, but that they're deciding to boo the crap out of Roman Reigns, but the League of Nations are such masterful heels. For a short period of time, the crowd was actually behind Roman Reigns for the first time in months.
Yeah. I mean, that was surprising. I thought the crowd was just high on drugs or something. Actually, not booing Roman Reigns out of the building. It was amazing. About 5 seconds. Del
Rio and Rusev are outstanding heels. I mean, they really know how to get the crowd going. Rusev's more kind of like I don't want to say comedy heel because he's not, but I think a lot of the stuff he does is meant to be like humorous, but it's not, but it is. Because he's so good with his character. But Del Rio is just a true classic heel. He knows how to get under people's skin, especially the fans. I really enjoy his character.
Yeah, especially along with his ring work, too. I mean, all three of them are great workers. But, I mean, Del Rio, especially since he's been back, he's in great shape, and he just always puts on a great technical match.
Yeah, I think this is his best run in WWE. Period. Even when he was the champion, he's really got it clicking, but they're not really pushing him as a main eventer right now. You know, I gotta ask you, Vic. I mean, although we know that supposedly Wade Barrett's out the door, they're really going out of their way to point out what a jabroni the League of Nations thought he was. Do you think all that's necessary?
Well, you know what? I don't know, because what I'm thinking here is Wade Barrett's supposed to get pushed out by Summer. I was waiting for him to come back in during a main event tonight and interfere.
Well, I just don't get it. I mean, I would have thought that too. I would have thought, like, you know, the main event wound up being a kind of an odd match that Shane McMahon on his, we're going to book Shane McMahon style. Shane booked. It was really weird because, to your point, the League of Nations were about to take out Roman Reigns before any matches tonight during an interview. And then of all people, the Wyatts saved Roman Reigns, more so not to save Roman Reigns, but to take out the League of Nations because they were finally out there. And then Shane booked a match between Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, and the League of Nations in a tag team match. And I have to say, I mean, the match delivered on all levels. In fact, there were some great matches tonight, but that was the best tag team match I've seen in a long time. It was very good.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was great storytelling in the match. And I mean, there were a couple of times where I thought, okay, you know what? It's like this is a short-lived thing. After the match, they're going to go at it with each other. And they actually told a decent story with it. I mean, there was no... And it's good because there's an unknown. And rather than people, after the match is over, starting to boo Reigns because he had his title again, they're actually sitting there. It was almost like the lead-up to the Wyatts and the Shield match where...
Yes.
You don't have it's cheering for something to happen, but when nothing happens, it almost it's the anticipation that gets you. You want to see something happen, and you want to be the people to see. Okay, this is when Roman Reigns came to blows with them, and whatever happened versus this, which was a win, a stare down, and then nothing else happened at that point. So I think you wanted to find the WWE fans are so quick to want to find heels. I like having a little bit of a flux here. And it's not even face or heel, but it's just okay. How's this going to work out? Are they going to join forces, or are they going to?
Well,
is Bray Wyatt meant to be the cool heel?
Well, to your point, but honestly, Vic, here's the thing, though. That's all great, but when did the League of Nations start feuding with the Wyatt family? Like, I don't really get that whole common enemy thing because I don't really remember that starting. I like it.
Started last week, and it was literally they showed up.
But you know what I'm saying though? It's kind of odd that even happened.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that we saw at WrestleMania, and I'm not sure if we discussed this last week or not, but the Wyatts they're stale, and whether you have Harper or not, they're stale. They're not as a heel tag team. They've gotten boring. Like I'm not even sure the last time Bray Wyatt wrestled in a pay-per-view outside of
he looked good tonight. He looked good tonight.
But I'm just saying, like he didn't have a WrestleMania match. I mean, he came out to ruin The Rock's thing, and hey, you know what? I get that. It's a great deal there. But I mean, why aren't you in a match at WrestleMania? You can bail on The Rock, and not even he didn't wrestle. I mean, what's his name? Eric Rowan wrestled The Rock for about seconds at WrestleMania. But I mean, it was just at the point where they were just they weren't getting the response. And Bray Wyatt especially, or I mean all of them, the entrance and just their promos, they weren't getting as much of a response. And now it's the shorter promos where it's just like, Los Angeles, California, we're here. And they come out with their thing.
Yeah.
That's, like talking about like whatever, or like talking too much in those promos did not build it up. And it was just, they were a stale heel team. And now they're going back to what they were doing good, which is not talking much. And
yeah, I agree. Wondering what they're going to do next sells the show. I mean, you wonder if Reigns is going to join them or what the deal is. But nonetheless, Reigns' spear, and I think it was Del Rio that took the Sister Abigail, but Sheamus was trying to get back in the ring, and he got speared by Reigns. That was just such a nice placement of how basically Reigns' spear almost saved Wyatt. So it was kind of a cool moment. So that was a great match. If you didn't get a chance to watch Raw, and you want to see an oddball match, Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt, who to my knowledge have never been on the same team of anything in any federation. These guys really had a lot of chemistry together. It was kind of interesting to watch. The crowd was super behind Bray Wyatt and not Roman Reigns. In fact, Brian Saxton was about to address it, but JBL cut him off about how the crowd was so against Reigns. But interesting match nonetheless. Another match, which was one to start the show that I thought really delivered. And this is exactly what I'm talking about like an A match that didn't really that was really no backstory, and you kind of gave it away for free, was Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. I thought, Kevin Owens basically came out to confront Shane McMahon about why he's not been given opportunities. In fact, he just said, you know what, I'm just declaring my rematch right now. Go get Miz out here. I want my rematch. I want to invoke my rematch clause. Well, Shane McMahon doesn't let the former champion have his rematch, which is odd because he let Zack Ryder on SmackDown have his rematch for losing the Intercontinental title. So interesting there. He says he has to earn his way back in and win a match tonight against Cesaro. Now, let me just say this. 20-minute match, incredible match, could have went either way. Don't you think they could have built that up and done more with it than just give it away like that?
You know what I do, but at the same time, it's number one, it's the first match of the show. Everybody loves Kevin Owens as a heel, great heel, and then we have Cesaro, who's the hot face. However, he's also a crowd pleaser, internet wrestling community darling as well. I think that they did it and just put it on because, shit, if you're going to have a 20-minute match like that leading off Raw, on average, I wouldn't turn on Raw until 15 minutes in because I figure it's just going to be the Authority talking about something. If you have a match like that and you're like, okay, turn on Raw at 8:20, 8:25, like, holy crap, what did I miss? 15 minutes of these guys going at it without a build-up. You know why I like it? It's because this match, we're not going to see this match at the next pay-per-view or probably at a pay-per-view for the rest of the year. This was just two evenly matched wrestlers with different stories, and I think it helped advance both of them.
Well,
because if you look at where we have Kevin Owens going in the future, we have him probably wrestling Sami Zayn. I'm going to go out on a limb and say,
right.
He doesn't need a belt. Cesaro, the hot comeback, Miz getting the belt. I think that I like it. I think that could be a good feud going into the next pay-per-view, Miz versus Cesaro. And I ultimately think Cesaro will carry the belt we'll get the belt.
That's fine, Vic. But this is where you need to bring jobbers back because what I'm afraid WWE is doing is a show like tonight where you gave away a clean finish to AJ Styles and Sami Zayn. You gave away a clean finish to Cesaro and Owens. This is what killed WCW. WCW gave away all of their matches on Nitro, and then there really was no combos left. And I think what made Nitro good before they panicked versus Raw back in the late 90s was if they had a 3-hour show, an hour and a half of them were jobbers versus bigger guys. They were building guys up. Like even the guys who were mid-carders, like Fit Finlay, Booker T at the time, William Regal, they were always winning on Nitro. They basically used the luchadors and then guys like, Bull Payne and Jerry Flynn and Kaz Hayashi, they used those guys to basically put over the guys like Fit Finlay, Regal, and Booker and guys like that would lose to the main eventers. And it really built that hierarchy. And I think WWE is missing that. And I think that's a dangerous mix when you have all these great talents and they're all in the middle. And, you know what I mean? Like, I really think WWE should think about creating jobbers or having jobbers. I mean, you need them. And I think that's the problem you have here. Because there's no separation of talent. Like, Sami Zayn, think about this. He's lost, to my knowledge, every single match he's been in. Right? Like, let's think about this. Sami Zayn has lost to John Cena. Now I'm talking about WWE Raw. He's lost to John Cena. He lost to AJ Styles tonight. He lost to some rep match.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna final title match at WrestleMania. He's never won a match, but yet he's in the world title hunt.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. I disagree with him being in world title hunt. I told you last week I thought that it was complete malarkey that he came out and Roman Reigns smirking at him was not insulting at all, and actually I definitely think he deserved it. But I'll tell you why I disagree with you with the jobber aspect of things.
Tell me, please.
I disagree with you with that because back then you didn't have a minor league. You didn't have every single person in the internet wrestling community. I didn't know what was going on at a lot of these pay-per-views. I don't think I probably had internet, but I mean, I was never like avid following and knew who was backstage beforehand. Now you have NXT. To say Sami Zayn, the fact that he was even sniffing the title last week, or trying to sniff the title last week, guess what? It's because he was a hell of a wrestler in NXT.
Right. Oh, yeah, well, that's for sure.
And I think that allows people to get built up to not superstars, but it basically cuts the jobber out. You don't need as many jobbers in WWE today, and I'd rather see matches like this given away, where these matches aren't gonna not be on the pay-per-view. But okay, you know what? Kevin Owens is wrestling Cesaro, and that was a hell of a match. It was maybe like a 10, 15-minute match, a great match. And at the next pay-per-view, we have Sami Zayn, who just had a freaking awesome match with AJ Styles, wrestling Kevin Owens, who's a great wrestler. And then you have Cesaro, who's freaking spectacular, versus The Miz, who can hold his own. I'd rather have good matches, 15, 20-minute matches, on at least a couple of them.
Well, I'm not going to protest Zayn getting a title shot because I get it. I agree with you. Speaking of protests, why are people protesting Colorado? What's going on there?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably because they're basically cheating Donald Trump out of the election there.
Would he have won that state?
I don't know exactly. I don't know all the dynamics. I just know that they change basically like the delegates. These are like individual people who sort of represent like the state, and they can vote. There's some people who represent on their own. Like there's a whole bunch of like crazy stuff. Like some of the Donald Trump guys were left off the ballot. Just a whole lot of just really crazy. They changed like the numbering for people after like Donald Trump sent out like, hey, vote for these numbers.
That's terrible.
And then at the end of it, the GOP Colorado Republican Party webpage, they tweeted out the hashtag "We did it, never Trump" or something like that, which is like the movement to stop Donald Trump. Which is
they basically just you do realize like this is the stupidity of anyone like who even gets political. I'm going to tell you one thing about people of the United States. If you tell them to do one thing and you force them to do one thing, they will always do the other. It's so stupid.
Yeah, people believe it or not, people don't like being told what to do.
Believe it or not, they don't like being told what to do. It is funny though, not to get political here, but you know, we live in the Northeast, Big Dick. I am, and not that I care, but it will be funny to watch the voting figures in the Northeast of the ass kicking the weirdo biblical guy will take from Donald Trump. Not that I care, but it is going to be a really big ass kicking. It's going to be really bad because people in the Northeast are actually normal, unlike people in the Midwest, which are really weird and they're into incest and Mormons and all that good stuff. And then, you know, our own friend Killer Kev, you know about the Southerners. I mean, dude, are you kidding me? I mean, you know about the South, Kev. You know, and our Canadian listeners, we like them because they're the only people that listen to us. So I'm not going to badmouth them. We used to do that. You know, so I'm saying the Northeast is actually the only normal part of the United States, and everybody knows that. We all know that. So it should be interesting to see how the figures go in the Northeast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just looking forward to seeing him win a couple more, and basically, okay, it comes down to like California, and all he has to do is win it, and then he wins it because people realize Ted Cruz is a creeper.
He's a weird guy. He is a weird guy. Ted Cruz is the type of guy you'd be on a bus, and all of a sudden there's somebody grabbing your package, and you just look over and you see Ted Cruz's smiling face. He is a creepy son of a bitch, that guy, man. Isn't he?
Yeah, he's really I can't say what in any certainty that he's ever molested children or anything, but if you had to sort of put together a profile,
like I said, put it this way. You know what? It's documented. I'm a Christian dude. I'm not like pushing my religion on anybody, but like Ted Cruz has like pretty much said he hates homosexuals. Like, how are you in an election if you don't like a whole group of people? Like, that's not normal. This is not like the 1600s of the Middle East. Like, you gotta kind of give everybody a chance. Just saying.
If Ted Cruz was in WWE, he would be getting Roman Reigns heat right now.
Northeast, bro.
He would be way east.
Let me ask you a question. Where is WWE headquarters?
It's in Stamford, Connecticut.
Northeast. See what I'm saying? Everything great is in the Northeast.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, we're from the Northeast, so
yeah.
I mean,
Northeast, bro. Anyway, speaking of the Northeast, AJ Styles, who is actually from the Northeast, but his gimmick is to be a Southerner. That's his gimmick. He's really from the Northeast. Just no one knows it. Him and Sami Zayn, they tore down the house. It's a good match, man. They fought once again with no build. Shane books the match to give Sami Zayn a shot. Kevin Owens' plan originally was to mess that match up, but he got banned from the building. And Zayn and Styles had a very clean match, and I thought it was kind of cool. Styles came up to Zayn and said, "Hey, man, I know you've worked your way up, so have I. It's funny we're both here in the world title picture, but I'm not giving up my opportunity." And hey, man, they put on a really good match. What'd you think?
Yeah, you know what? This was a match where I think a lot like the Cesaro Kevin Owens match. It's giving away a pay-per-view quality match, but not necessarily ruining a story. Like, I hated it when they had like a best of 5 series between who the hell was it? Like Dolph Ziggler and somebody else, and it was like, okay, like the final match of this is unannounced on SmackDown. And it's like, okay, great. You build up, you spend all this time. There's actually like a real feud going on, and you just end it on SmackDown, where I can read spoilers 2 days in advance. I like it where good wrestlers fight good wrestlers, and it's okay if they have an outcome. I mean, it's not trading wins and losses where you have the same guys wrestle at the pay-per-view coming up in 2 weeks. There's going to be different matches. I mean, I see this pay-per-view coming together, and I really like it. I think that Reigns will keep the strap against Styles, but I think there's going to be a bunch of other really good matches at the pay-per-view. And it's going to be a lot of like singles matches, because I felt like we had a lot of tag team. And like 5 people and the New Day. There were a lot of multiple people looking for WrestleMania payday. So I think this is going to be pared down a lot more one-on-one. They'll probably have a tag team. The finals, I'm assuming, are going to be at that thing, or they'll wrestle the New Day at the next pay-per-view. But yeah, I don't know when the next pay-per-view is off the top of my head, but I like the build for it.
Yeah, man. The fact they're going to let us see Reigns versus AJ Styles, that's pretty cool, man. I think it's going to be a big match. I mean, who knows? Maybe AJ Styles will win. I don't think so, but I wouldn't put anything past the WWE right now. And you know what, man? It would be ballsy of the WWE, wouldn't it? To literally, after Styles basically wasn't being used properly for years in TNA. I mean, he wasn't the champion for the last couple of years. Wouldn't it be something if WWE decides to just put the title right on Styles? It would just go to show you the WWE machine can do whatever it wants, and it doesn't matter who they have on their roster. Like, it would be something for them to go put the title on Styles. I think it would be really cool, and I wouldn't put it past WWE.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a little soon, and I mean, shit, he just lost to Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chris Jericho is great, but I mean, he really, outside of a couple matches against Jericho, I mean, he's been there he's won probably a half dozen matches.
Well, if you want to make Roman Reigns heel, put him against AJ Styles.
And that's what they're going to do. But think about it. What if Bray Wyatt is added to this mix instead of doing a League of Nations?
That would be stupid. That would be stupid. And if they do, Bray Wyatt better walk out with the title. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or I don't know. I don't think that happens, but it could.
I'm convinced, since Bray Wyatt has put so many people over, when Bray Wyatt finally gets the WWE title, I think he's going to have it for a very long time. I think it's going to be nearly impossible to get it off him when he gets his run. I do. I really think it's going to be a long title run. He will get it, and I think it's going to be very long.
Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't feel... Right now, it feels like he's better off in in like a couple person feud with the rest of the Wyatts. And part of that is because the rest of the Wyatts, they're not really built up. I mean, we saw what we did when the Wyatts went on their own, which was not too much.
Harper's built up. He's the one that is. Harper has the Intercontinental title reign. I think Harper's got the build. Rowan never will after what just happened at WrestleMania, and Strowman is a joke. But I think Harper's got the build.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Harper has the he's pretty damn good.
Are you excited Primo and Epico are coming back?
You know what? I'm more excited about my trip to Puerto Rico.
Are you really going?
What's that?
Are you going?
Absolutely, dude. I saw like 2 commercials for it, man. It looks fucking awesome.
So you're not really going?
No.
There in San Juan, there is a the Bacardi factory is in San Juan, and it is one of the if you do anything in Puerto Rico, go to the Bacardi factory. It is so cool, man. Dude, you can basically drink all the Bacardi you want for like $15 admission, and it's awesome. I think you pay like $1 or $2 for each bottle of Diet Pepsi. I think they have Pepsi there, and it's just like they just give you as much Bacardi as you want, and you just pay for the mixers if you need a mixer. Just an outstanding time. If you want to go get rocked for a cheap price, go to the Bacardi factory in San Juan. You'll have a great time, and you get to learn about Bacardi, which is a great alcohol.
And you get to learn Spanish.
Oh, I learned it when I was there. I didn't know a lick of Spanish. And then I went to the Bacardi factory and I was fluent by the time I left. You know that?
And you remember it?
Oh yeah. You know, I gotta tell you, Vic, I went to a food festival this weekend with a lot of local like restaurants, like good ones, really high end ones, and they had pretty much every wine distributor, local vineyard, and like just all these different whiskeys, all these different beers from the area, local microbrewers. I mean, it was about $100 to get in. It was 5 hours, all you can drink, all you can eat. Maybe one of the coolest things I've ever been to in my life. And it was hundreds of vendors. It took place in our Connecticut Convention Center. It was just a nice day, buddy.
Dude, that sounds pretty freaking solid, man. That's a lot of eating, and I'm sure that you probably fasted for quite a while beforehand and hydrated so you can take advantage of all of the brews that they have there.
Do you think that your friend Angry Tensai might have drank a little too much?
You know what? I'm gonna go with yes on that.
The correct answer is yes. And for all the listeners out there, if you classified Angry Tensai as a drinker, would you classify him as, when he crosses the threshold to drunk, as nice, funny, angry, vicious? How would you classify drunk Angry Tensai?
Wait, sodomy is not an answer.
No.
It would not be pretty. I would go with ferocious.
It is true, though. Angry Tensai, if you keep him in his element and amongst his friends, he's a good dude when he's totally drunk. But if you do happen to cross him, he feels pretty good about himself and he's pretty sure of himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. I think that I think you were probably pretty well behaved, but Mrs. Tensai might have been with you, so that could have.
I'm proud to say I was in very, very good spirits, and I didn't do anything wrong. At the only thing I did do wrong is when I got back, I slept for 2 hours because I was like so gone. I just lay down. And the next thing I closed my eyes and 2 hours were gone.
Hey, you know what? I'm sure the kids fended for themselves.
I got hit in the head by one of them, and that's what woke me up. The big one, open hand slapped me in my face, and that's how I woke up.
Wow. You've been letting him watch a little too much wrestling.
No, he doesn't watch any wrestling. I guess he wanted me up, and he figured that was the easiest way to do it. I didn't even react to it, because by the time I figured out what happened, he was already out of the room. Anyway, I digress. Speaking of which, what about the tag team tournament? What's this all about?
You know what? I don't know what brought it about, but I like it.
I like it too.
I think every once in a while, maybe not. I think that probably every other pay-per-view there should be some sort of a tournament or something. Maybe 4 or 5 a year, I'd say. And I like it because there's a lot of new tag teams here. We've just had 3 new tag teams debut, and it's sort of allowing them to reset at least the Dudleys, where WWE was trying to get them over as heels, and they're fighting Usos, and Usos are getting no response, and Dudleys are getting cheered out of the building. They're getting huge fan response. And then you have the internet darling Kaz and Enzo come out, challenged the Dudleys last week, and all of a sudden the Dudleys are getting no reaction or sort of things.
Well, didn't the Dudleys absolutely viciously destroy the Luchas tonight? That was a squash match. They killed the Luchas. They killed them.
And I mean, there's Sin Cara, who's pretty good apparently, and the U.S. champion who was injured or kayfabe injured.
He was injured because Devon clotheslined him out of his freaking boots and he couldn't get up. That was not cheap. That was just an ass beating. Like, dude, that's how the Dudleys should be booked. They destroyed those guys. I don't think I remember a tag team match that one-sided in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that was pretty, at least with the real tag teams. I mean, you have crap.
Like, I have nothing against the Luchas. I dig the Luchas, but, you know, if they're not going to, like, win the tournament, you might as well just let them get destroyed like that. And honestly, the Dudleys look like a wrecking crew going into their match with, which one would have to presume will be Enzo and, Big Cass. On SmackDown, they're taking on the Ascension, and there is no way the Ascension. Come on, I mean, dude, the Ascension haven't won a match in a year.
Yeah, I don't think they have. Literally just wrestling.
I feel bad for the Ascension, man. They really are jobbers, and it's sad. They were unstoppable and unbeatable. They didn't lose a match for like 11 months in NXT. Do you know that?
Wow.
And they haven't won a match in 11 months in the WWE. No, it's not funny. It sucks. I'm sad for him. I mean, I feel really bad for him. You know?
It was just promos at the beginning. They probably wrote their own promos. They're like, wait a second. Just disrespected the history of the tag team division by you guys who are nobody.
Well, that was interesting. So we'll see what happens there. On the other side of the bracket, the Vaudevillains will take on, I believe it's R-Truth and Goldust on SmackDown, and one would have to believe the Vaudevillains will continue their role and win their match. The Usos took on the one-man band and his crew, the Social Outcasts. I believe it was Slater and Axel. They lost to the Usos, but a very huge development takes place after the match. As the Usos are celebrating, the Bullet Club, a.k.a. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, come out of nowhere and they just destroy the Usos. And the Usos, to their credit, sold the crap out of it and really sold the industry, the injuries. So Anderson and Gallows are now in the WWE. What do you think of that?
You know, I mean, it's been rumored for a while that they were coming up. I have a question for you. I missed this match. How did Gallows? What did he look like? Did he look like Festus, or did he look like Luke Gallows, like TNA, or what's his name, the guy from Doc from?
You know what he looked like? I'll tell you what he looked like. It's funny. It's funny you asked that question, and I was actually thinking this when I saw him. So, you know, Doc Gallows, Luke Gallows from Aces and Eights, you know, I thought he actually had kind of a cool look in TNA. And I'll admit, I haven't seen him in New Japan Wrestling. I don't watch New Japan Wrestling. But if I had to describe him to someone who last saw him in Aces and Eights, I would say he looks like he lost about 30 or 40 pounds, did a shitload of cardio, and didn't focus on weightlifting. He looks like 10 years younger, dude. I mean, he looks awesome. He looks like a different person. I actually didn't recognize him. Now, I know what Machine Gun Carl Anderson looked like. So I knew when I saw him, I knew who it was. I'm like, who's this guy with him? And I'm like, oh, hey, it's Gallows. He just lost a shitload of weight. So Gallows looks really good, man. It's obvious he's taking wrestling really serious. and this is why he's got all this hype in Japan. I would presume with his partner Anderson. I mean, he looks awesome, and they look good out there. I mean, we didn't really see him do any moves, but just physically, the eye test, Gallows looks in incredible shape. I don't think there's an ounce of fat on him. He looks totally different. Not different, like he looks the same as far as like his beard and his shaved head, but I mean, he's probably like 40 pounds leaner. They look good. They look like champions. I mean, they, no doubt about it. They came out there, they look like they're champions, and they weren't with Finn Balor or AJ Styles, but you know, they look legit. Like no one could say they look legit. And the Usos, like I said, the Usos did an awesome job of selling them, and I can't stand the Usos. And unlike the Miz, and I'm not going to say Damien Sandow, but unlike the Miz burying the Ascension in their debut and not selling, the Usos did everything they could to help make Gallows and Anderson look good. So it was a great segment. It was a cool segment for sure.
Now, do you think that the Bullet Club? Who's the Bullet Club? It's Styles, Balor, Anderson, and Gallows. Is there somebody else I'm missing?
As I understand it, before AJ Styles left, and they got thrown out on like the last night, the last rendition that really was established was AJ Styles, Gallows, Anderson, the two little bitches that were Generation Me and TNA, Tama Tonga, which is Ming's son, he's pretty awesome, Kenny Omega, who's big over there, and I think there's another guy, Bad Luck Fail, and that's all of them. That's the Bullet Club.
All right, so basically we're gonna get probably them, AJ Styles, and maybe down the road Finn Balor.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume maybe Finn Balor will eventually come down. I don't know. Maybe WWE's not going to put these guys together. I don't know. But Gallows and Anderson certainly are together. I mean, that was pretty cool. So, you know what's interesting though? Styles is taking on Reigns, and Gallows and Anderson targeted the Usos. That's pretty interesting. Kev, do you want to comment on that? I know you're a big New Japan wrestling guy. Anything you want to add here? Because I thought it was interesting that they picked the Usos. And Styles just got booked against Reigns.
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, geez. Excuse me. I'm sorry I asked.
It's okay.
What's the attitude for?
You know what? I think we all know what the attitude's for. Killer Kev is a closet Uso fan.
I think Killer Kev is just pissed that I made a negative remark towards Generation May and didn't call them by their stage names, their stripper names. To me, they're Generation May, and they'll always be Generation May. Anyway, that was that match. So that's the tournament. That should be interesting. The New Day sold the tournament too, which was nice.
Yeah, you know what? I'd be interesting to see when they do the finals. Do they do the finals of the tournament at the next pay-per-view?
Yeah, it'll be a payback. You want to know who's going to win the tournament? I can tell you right now. Vaudevillains.
Really?
And they will lose to the Usos. Or not the Usos, to the New Day.
Why do you think that?
Because I expect Cass and Enzo to get an upset victory over the Dudleys in round 2. And I think the Dudleys are going to be so pissed that they're going to do everything they can to cost Enzo and Cass the finals to the Vaudevillains.
Okay.
And the Usos will be too hurt to give it the college try against the Vaudevillains, and because of their overselling of injuries, the Vaudevillains will beat them. So the Vaudevillains will limp their way into the finals, and the only team they'll really beat will be Truth and Goldust. I
was going to say, isn't a Revival in this or no?
No, not yet. They're not in WWE yet. But that is the shitty WWE booking right there. That's how they'll book this tournament. They'll make the Vaudevillains look as weak as possible, but they'll win the tournament.
Yeah, but at the same time, what I will give about this, I remember hearing about the Vaudevillains. Oh, wow,
the Vaudevillains are screwed, dude. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen before you go, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to explain to you what's going to happen. The Usos will be injured in round 2. The Vaudevillains will win due to that. The Vaudevillains will get a cheap-ass victory because of the Dudleys. And then here's what's going to happen. Because the Vaudevillains have such a crazy characters, and NXT wasn't a big deal because no one really gets enough mic time to cut on each other. The New Day are going to bury the Vaudevillains for their gimmicks so bad and make fun of them so terribly that the Vaudevillains will never be able to recover as more than a comedy act. The New Day will beat the Vaudevillains. The Vaudevillains will be another jobber tag team. That's what's going to happen.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I don't know if any team can come out as flat and as absolutely horrible as the Ascension, but you're calling it.
I just don't see how they can benefit from a feud with the New Day, whose whole gimmick is they're going to run you down, and I think you need to be established right now before you fight with the New Day. Like, think about it. Like, the New Day carved up the League of Nations on the mic, like, beyond belief. But, I mean, they're not going to do any damage to them. I mean, El Del Rio is a multi-time WWE champion. Sheamus is a multi-time WWE champion. Rusev is, like, one of the hottest heels in the last couple years. And Barrett has held pretty much every single title in the WWE except the world title. I mean, he's completely established. So, you know, they weren't going to be able to really do anything to hurt him. But I think a new team coming in, I mean, it's not a good, the New Day can really hurt you because they're good workers and they just destroy you on the mic. And I just don't think the Vaudevillains have that cachet yet, you know? Like the Dudleys, for instance, really are going out of their way to sell Cass and Enzo. And that's like it was funny because when Cass and Enzo did their little opener, I thought Bubba Ray was going to say, okay, yeah, you said the same thing last week or something like that because it looked like that's where he was going. But instead he played off him and said, I'm doing fine, how are you? Like, I thought that was funny, but like the power of words and what you say as like on the mic can really damage guys, you know? And I think
yeah.
The Dudleys are showing, you know, how to really put your opponents over. And I don't think the New Day but their characters are meant to just destroy who's ever on the other side of the mic.
Yeah. I mean, they're dropping a microphone when they're done.
Right.
With their opponents. I get what you're saying. And like, I remember just on that point, I remember probably 6 months ago when Orton was about to face Kevin Owens. And he made a crack about, oh, geez, like, you're fat, basically, called it.
Yeah, that's crap, dude. That's not good. There's no need for that.
And I mean, everybody was freaking killing him. Like, yeah, it's like, you don't say that. I mean, say something else. I mean, say you're ugly.
Yeah, good job, WWE. You really taught Owens. You basically just took your hottest guy on your roster and called him a fat ass in front of everybody online.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if he needs to work, they don't freaking call him that. I mean, he's over with everybody. And you know what? I mean, in that case, it didn't end up burying him. But I think Orton probably got into like a shitload of trouble for saying it. I don't think that was. I'm pretty sure the WWE is smart enough not. Well, actually, I'm not going to give him any credit. But yeah, I don't know. I just think he might have just went off script on that. Right? I would hope.
Pretty cool. Check this out. Raw stat. As Bray Wyatt, not Husky Harris, as Bray Wyatt. Tonight was the first time Bray Wyatt ever teamed with a superstar who was not a Wyatt family member. That's pretty cool.
That makes sense though, because shit, he's been in the Wyatt family for the last 2 years since
I'm
he came
just
in.
saying, though, he never had another, like, that's it. It's the only partner. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I could have seen like with like another bad guy at some point, but I don't know.
What'd you think of Dr. Phil on tonight? Oh my God, no.
You know what? I was hoping he was going to actually interfere in the Ric Flair match.
That would have been awesome. Oh yeah.
If he just came out and literally just like gave him a knife edge chop or something and have Flair sell it.
Dr. Phil's a big dude. Like,
yeah, I was surprised.
Unbelievable.
He was towering over Ric Flair. I mean, Flair's not a big guy, but I mean, he definitely had about 6 inches on him.
Dr. Phil acts like a pansy on TV, but I think in real life he could probably kick someone's ass. He looks like an angry guy.
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely. I mean, he just looks like he has size. Not he's freaking jacked or anything. Or
in the pants.
What's that?
Size in the pants.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I'd like to see his size.
Shit, I was going to say we haven't talked about that in a while. I think last time we did was just about Rusev.
Oh, Dr. Phil's probably. Hey, lucky for the lucky for the Utah Jazz, their last game is against the Lakers. Kobe's last game. I hope the Rockets don't make the playoffs. Those bastards.
Wait,
The Houston Rockets. I digress, sorry.
how do you hate the Houston Rockets?
Because they have Dwight Coward, man. I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy. I don't know. All I know is the Lakers. I was talking about it the other day. I'm like, this is a huge successful year for the Lakers. They get a shitload of ping pong balls.
Yes.
Kobe 4, and they get one of the top 2 players in the draft. Probably the top player in the draft because the draft is, or the lottery is rigged and they'll win it.
Well, we'll see. We'll know it's rigged if the Lakers get the number 1. You know?
Well, I mean, they have the second worst record, so it's not that big of a stretch.
Hey, it doesn't take long to turn around. Look at the Celtics. They're a great team now.
Yeah, I mean, they could win a couple rounds. They could make the finals. I mean, there's no dominant team in the East outside of.
They could. I agree with you. They're coached up, man. The Celtics are poised to make a run, and honestly, the side of the bracket they're on, if somebody upsets the Cavs, the way the brackets are right now, to your point, Vic, the Raptors are playing the Pacers, the 2 versus 7, and then, no, the Celtics, unless the Hornets pass them tomorrow night. So what needs to happen is the Celtics should purposely tank, because they're going to have an away game anyway, and then they'd be on the Raptors side of the bracket. They don't want to be on the Cavaliers side of the bracket, in my opinion.
Yeah, you get them in the finals if possible.
The Cavs are going to probably play the Pistons, although if the Pacers purposely lose or lose, the Pacers will play the Cavaliers in the first round, and the Pacers are pretty dangerous. I'd rather play the Pistons. It's pretty funny how
I'd rather play the Cavs in the first round than the second round because it's just a 5-game series, and it's easier to steal versus a 7-game series. Ultimately, I'd probably rather play them in the third round because if you get to the third round and you're not the Cavs, it's pretty much a successful year if you lose.
I have a bad feeling the Spurs are going to win the title, and I really don't want them to, but they're going to.
Yeah, you know what? I definitely feel like the Wizards, or not the Wizards, the Warriors are not going to win the championship and not get out of the West.
I agree with you. The problem they have is they've been chasing this stupid record. It's burnt the team out.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically going to the playoffs with no rep. And they won't. I don't think they'll lose the first round. I doubt they'll lose the second round, but I think that they'll probably end up losing to San Antonio.
The Bulls went 72-10, chasing nothing, you know, and they had games where they were resting people at the end. But we'll see. I saw an interesting graphic, and I don't want to spend too much on basketball, but I saw an interesting graphic. ESPN did a vote, and I don't know where it is right now, but I checked it out this morning. And it was, who do you think would win, the Golden State Warriors of this year versus the 1995 Bulls? And 68% of the voters voted for the Bulls. And of the 68 voters, or 68% of voters, they showed it by state. And 47 of 50 states said that the Bulls would win, but like all of California, like 90-10, picked the Warriors. What I thought was interesting is they broke it into age groups. And the only age group where the Warriors got over 45% was 0 to 12. They got like 48% of the vote. And then what was really weird is 55 and up were over 40% for the Warriors. And then 13 to 44, it was like 79% Bulls.
Wow.
Which is pretty fucking funny. So clearly our generation and the generation beneath us, they're rolling with Michael Jordan. And who can blame him? Let me tell you something. I didn't like the Bulls and I didn't like Michael Jordan when he was playing. But I watched him wreck enough of my teams over the years to tell you, listen, the search is over. You don't need to look any longer. There was no one better than Michael Jordan. He was the best ever. And it's just, you had to be there. You had to be there. It was unbelievable. Anyway.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if you match up this year's Warriors against the 96-97 Bulls or 95-96 Bulls, I think the Warriors pull it out. I mean, Jordan 20 years later, I mean, shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Secretary versus American Pharaoh, man. It's like
now I would agree the Warriors would run away with it, but You're right, man. You can't line them up, so there's no point talking about it. You make a good point. The Warriors right now, until somebody beats them, are the best team. Good point.
Yeah.
Point. Speaking of
that-
which, Charlotte,
Yeah.
she's a champion. She beats Natalia tonight with the help of Ric Flair. You know, I wasn't really into that whole segment, but it was a decent match. But one thing Dr. Phil said to Charlotte is, I'm so tired of you cheating, and you could really go to the next level. You have all the skills, but there's one thing holding you back. It's your father. And I kind of feel like you're Charlotte and I'm Ric Flair. And Dr. Phil came up and said, you know what? That angry Tensai's holding you back. You know?
Well, you know, man, I actually had WWE call me today. They're like, Victor, it's like, we've been following you. It's like, we want you to become a writer / announcer for WWE. And I'm like, you know what? It's like, I just can't. I mean, this podcast is sort of the highlight of my life. I mean, it's pretty,
even more so than Tinder?
Even more so. Tinder, sometimes flaccid during the show.
How does Tinder work, by the way? I think our listeners would like to know this.
To be honest with you, I actually don't have an account, believe it or not.
You've never used it?
No, I've seen it used, and I've thought about setting up an account, but I have never actually set up an account.
Can I ask a question? As I understand Tinder, is it essentially known that if somebody picks you and you decide to pick them, that it's on? Like, that's the point of the app?
I think that's how it started out, but then I think it turned into actual, like, going out on dates and stuff. I actually know 2 people that I know of who are in Tinder relationships.
Is there an app where it's just literally it's known?
I think that used to be Tinder. I think it's probably Grindr, which is the I think that's the app that what's his name would like.
What is Grindr?
It's basically Grindr, like you'd spell it. I think without the E.
Wait a second. I just Googled it. The world's largest gay social app network. It's gay.
Yeah, but that's how you know it's probably going to be on. But I was thinking that could be Titus O'Neil's former partner.
Grindr.
He's probably.
I gotta say, Vic, let me tell you something. I'm glad I just Googled that because you would have slid that one in on me and I wouldn't have known. That was very good. Well done. Well done.
It would have been really bad tomorrow around the water cooler. We were talking about.
I'm like, yo, you a Grindr? Oh my goodness. And they'd be like, I knew it. I knew he was like that. I was on Grindr, dude. It's awesome. you know, here in New England, people call subs grinders. What's up with that?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's sort of asinine.
It's a sub, dude.
I'm happy to report that where I am in Virginia now, where I'm living for like next year or two, they have Wawa.
Wait a second. You live in Georgia?
No. Well, yeah, but I thought I told you. Maybe not. I'm sort of temporarily relocated to Norfolk, Virginia area.
Don't you think it would have been a good idea to tell me this before I found out about it on the air?
Probably not. I still have a Georgia driver's license. So.
Oh, then there you go. So you've just picked up your life and you left Georgia.
Sort of. I locked my doors. But,
what about all your women in Georgia?
You know what? I'll send for them if I need them. It's a direct flight away.
That's true. That's true.
Now I can tap into the Jersey pipeline.
The Jersey pipeline. Well,
Yeah.
I know there's Wawa in Virginia, and there's quite a few. I wish there was some up here, man. We need one.
I haven't been to it yet, but I'm awaiting my day.
Do you have White Castle?
I don't know. It might be. I haven't seen one yet. I'm gonna have to look for it. They do have what the heck is it? Zaxby's. Do you have Zaxby's?
What is Zaxby's?
It's like a really good, awesome freaking fried, not really fried, like chicken sandwiches and stuff like that. There's like chicken wings and like fried chicken sandwiches.
Their direct competitor would be Raising Cane's.
Would you like Zaxby's, Kev?
Huh?
You like Zaxby's?
It's okay. I like Raising Cane's a little bit better because of the sauce.
I like that.
What's that, Kev?
It's pretty much just like Zaxby's.
No, but where is it? Is it Kentucky?
Yeah, we've got both of them in Lexington, so.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So, Vic, you're in Norfolk, right?
Yep.
I'm happy to tell you that on 1211 North Military Highway and 8245 Hampton Boulevard, there are Jersey Mikes for you, buddy.
Oh, thank God.
So you
Although
have
there
Wawa
are
and
in every state, I think.
they're coming. They're everywhere now. I love it. It's about time.
I think we're getting one in Lexington too.
Have you ever ate there, Kev?
No.
Well, I will tell you, the subs are enormous. Like the large, it's just the jumbo or whatever they call it. It's just too big. It's huge, but you would like it. It's a great sub.
Oh, yep. Actually, we do have one in Lexington now. I don't know how long it's been there, but
There you go, man. They're everywhere. Check it out. But know that a giant is enormous and probably for like two people. Vic, could you eat a giant in one sitting?
Possibly if I was drunk. I tend to.
Yeah, I mean, I could eat one, but I wouldn't want to. It's just too much. The thing is, like,
I'd feel like I shouldn't have afterwards.
yeah, there's a girl I was friends with that once said she went out with a guy who she had lunch after the beach at Jersey Mike's, and he ate a giant. And I said, well, what'd you think? And she said, I don't know. I was disgusted. I'm like, why? And she's like, because anyone that would eat a whole Jersey Mike sub is not somebody I want to hang out with.
That's awesome. I'll have to keep that in mind.
So I'm looking for Castle. There is no Castle in Norfolk, Virginia, it looks like.
You know what? I just don't do the Crystal. I don't do Crystal.
Why does this, wait a second, why does it says the Route 37 Tom's River White Castle is closed.
What?
Is it closed?
But they opened one. They opened one in Lacey.
I thought they're 24 hours a day.
Maybe not. Maybe that's that's probably just during the summertime when they get all the drunk people in there.
That's interesting.
They have one in Lacey now too. White Castle.
Do they?
I don't know if it's as good as the one in Tom's River. I'd say not, but
I'm looking right now. I was in New York probably about 3 months ago, and I ate Castles, and it was outstanding. I listen to this. This is unbelievable. Maybe it's just during the week, but oh my God, you're gonna be very disappointed. White Castle is no longer 24 hours in Tom's River. It's 7 a.m. to 12 a.m.
wow. That's just Monday to Thursday, or is that
Tuesday through Monday. Do you know what that tells me? Some asshole probably started an enormous fight in there, and they said, you know what, no more of this. Now, Kev, just so you know, and I know this is very pertinent to wrestling, when we were kids, and, you know, because we underage drank in our town, it was known that after the bars let out, 2:30, you go to White Castles.
yeah.
And now these kids won't get that opportunity.
Well, that's probably, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly. Because
They
the most dangerous place, the most dangerous place in the world, besides the Mean Street Posse's neighborhood, is a White Castle's after 2:30 a.m.
You're probably right about that. But I do want to give you good news, Vic. You'll be very happy about this. Forked River, White Castle, which is right by our houses.
24 hour?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, guys. White Castle is a party. It's a White Castle party, and that's a party that don't stop ever.
Dude, we don't have to cross 37 to go to White Castle anymore.
Bro, I could literally go into White Castle, and I never have to leave. Guys, think about that. I could go to Forked River, White Castle, I'd never have to leave. It's always open.
I'd have to leave, though.
Why?
Because they only carry caffeine-free Diet Coke.
Is that true?
Really?
Yeah.
No, but think about that,
How
Kev.
disgusting.
Kev,
I mean, I can drink it, I can drink, I can do it with like one meal, but I can't go 24 hours without something caffeine in my Diet Coke.
I don't think that's true. But let me ask you a question, Kev. Let's say, because a burger there, you'd like this. This is cool, because they're like little sliders.
Right.
Burgers run like, I don't know, they're like 50 cents.
Yeah.
What if I literally, every hour, bought just one slider? At what point will White Castles tell me to leave? Like, I gotta think around the 73-hour mark. They're gonna be like, alright, sir, you gotta leave.
I don't know if anybody back there is actually paying that much attention to you.
What are you doing
Angry Ted's like, what are you doing Memorial Day weekend? We should test this.
Now the only real problem is going to be, once you get about to hour 28 or hour 29 and they start sliding their way through you, and I don't know how long they're going to put up with you destroying their bathroom.
That's a good point. I mean, at some point, you're going to get really gross. I mean, the castles are going to go to work on you at some point.
I know White Castle has this policy of keeping everything white because, it represents cleanliness and everything that's nice and everything. But those bathrooms aren't that porcelain clean.
No. Well, I gotta say this. I'm not sure how to segue this back into Monday Night Raw and close us up. How in the world would I do that from this conversation to where it's led?
You know who I'd take to White Castle and let eat a crave case?
What?
And then down on it? That would be Charlotte. I'm in love with Charlotte.
Yeah?
Like, I would let her do very bad things to me after eating her crave case.
Are you really into Charlotte like that? Like, seriously?
I am. She's not a gorgeous face, but her body's phenomenal.
I have one problem with her. I don't think she's ugly either. I think she has a very athletic look to her. I think she's attractive and she has enormous boobs. She's great shape. But her ass is super flat. What's up with that?
You know what? I'm too busy looking at her tits. Her tits are.
She's a great athlete, dude. She's cool. I mean, she's hot, no doubt about it. But, first off, every woman in WWE, for the most part, is hot. Without a doubt. But specifically, Charlotte's one of the best, I would agree. But, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I agree with you. I think that's cool, man. I mean, she's awesome. She's pretty tall, too, I would presume.
Okay, here's how you segue that. Big Vic, would you eat her booty like it's a bag of sliders? Yes or no?
I totally would. No doubt about it.
I'd eat her booty after she ate a crave case.
Oh, no. Dude, a crave case is 20 burgers. Dude.
If she could put down a crave case, marry her. Seriously. I will put $5 down right now. I don't think she gets past 3.
No, dude, she's a big girl. She's like tall girl. The really athletic girls can eat a ton of food.
Oh no, I'm sure she can eat a ton of food. I ain't betting she's eating a ton of sliders though.
I bet you she could do 20.
I bet you she would do at least 10. And if you challenged her, if it was a challenge that she really wanted to win, and you said, "Yo, you can't do 20," or let's see who can eat more, and I did 19, I think she would do 20. I feel like she's pretty competitive.
Natalya could do it.
I think a lot of them can. I mean, I think a lot of these guys, I think a lot of them are weightlifters, so they can eat,
Yeah, but that's an awful lot of grease and everything that's going through you. I could see Natalya doing it. I can't see Charlotte doing it.
I don't think Eva Marie could.
Yeah, she might not be able to. She's a little scrawny. I definitely don't think AJ Lee or Paige could.
Eva Marie to me is sad. You know why? If you have to dye your hair that color red to get attention, you're pathetic. Like, that's the only way she can get recognized. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that's the case if you're not the boss or you're not Becky Lynch.
No.
Because they can dye their hair crazy colors and be fine, but you actually have to be in like a meaningful title.
Becky Lynch doesn't need orange hair. In fact, it cheapens her. She doesn't need to get attention. She's a good worker. Oh, guys, I want to bring up another thing. I was thinking about this tonight. I want to know what you guys think about this. So obviously AJ Styles and Zayn had an awesome match. Obviously Owens and Cesaro had a great match, and Reigns and Wyatt had a good match with the League of Nations. I thought to myself, like, why did this not really like get the reaction like NXT gets? And like, I have a theory, and you guys tell me I'm wrong. I think WWE needs a dark colored ring. I think the ring's been the same for too long, and I think the white ring takes away from all the different colors of the stuff that the wrestlers are wearing, and in fact, it makes the wrestling look worse. And I think a dark ring would make the product look better. Any thoughts on that? Not making a joke, dead serious.
You know what? I don't know. That'd be interesting to try at least on like maybe like house shows to see what kind of reaction you get. I mean, live TV, it's one thing, but I mean, are you talking about more live reaction, or are you talking about like at home?
I just think like the matches, like I watch the matches and I'm like, I know this is I was watching like AJ and Zayn. Like that was a really good match. If I would have put that in an NXT ring, the exact same match, it would have looked better.
I hear what you're saying.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that NXT, even though it's been around for a while, you have the yellow ropes, the gray ring, and it just looks cool. And I think it goes back to also the smaller ring. I don't know. I think they should just try something new. I think WWE's looked the same for so long. Even though changing Raw, there's not that much of a difference between 1997 Raw's stage and the 2016 one. I mean, it's still red, white, and black on the apron. I mean, it's just, they really got to change it up. I think it makes the product look worse. I don't know. I mean, it occurred to me today. I'm like, I think the product looks bland and old because it's the same friggin' ring for 20 years. No?
You know what I think it is though? I think with WWE versus NXT, I think NXT, number one, you don't have a lot of kids going to these shows.
Yeah.
With them. If you have, and I mean, that basically allows people, I mean, it allows the fans to sing along and they can take over a show, but the way they do it, they don't take over a show. They don't, it's almost like they're all smarks. And
I know,
like, we saw Apollo Crews before he made his debut. It's like seeing LeBron James playing high school or something. And I feel like it's sort of like they get off on and get excited on everybody because they're like, oh, hey, we saw him here first. And we're in the know on this stuff, and nobody really has any idea who these guys are. Whereas if you're at a WWE event, I don't know, I've been to a lot of WWE events, so I can't say like, okay, it's like 20% of people with have families or 50% or what percentage there is. But you have to figure, if you're bringing like your wife, your two kids to the wrestling thing, you're not starting this is awesome or this bullshit chant with your 8-year-old and your 6-year-old.
Anyone who brings their wife to wrestling though is a complete herb.
Yeah, if you have kids or something, you bring them. I mean, obviously you need somebody to watch the kids while you hold up signs. But I mean,
like I said, my wife said it best when Randy Orton came out. She said, "Do you realize that guy is wearing t-shirt that goes over bikini briefs with knee pads, and there are men in the audience cheering for him, and you think that that's normal?"
Wow.
And I have to say, I never really thought about it. Like, you just see the bottom of the Marvel bag, the t-shirt that looks like a nightgown, and he's wearing knee pads. You can't get, like, imagine you went out to a store, and there was a guy walking around with knee pads on, tighty whities, and a t-shirt that covered just everything but the bottom of the tighty whities. So you don't see the band of the tighty whities, you don't see the middle of the tighty whities. It just leaves a little bit for you to say. That's Randy Orton.
Dude, tell your wife to stop coming up with that stuff.
It's a great point, dude. She makes a great point. I can't even look at that look anymore. Like, I'm like, that really looks weird. Like, why, like, whoever decided that, that's a normal look. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd much rather see everybody wear John Cena shorts out to the ring because they look comfortable.
Dude, I'm just a fan of, like, the Dolph Ziggler, like, long tights. That's kind of what everybody should wear. Like, Sting tights, you know?
Yeah. Why was he not wrestling tonight? Ziggler.
Who?
Ziggler.
What about him?
Why didn't you wrestle tonight?
Because you only put so many people on the show, brah.
Point. That's sort of what I wanted to hear.
I mean, he should be on, but, I mean, you know, they were putting some new people on tonight, but Ziggler will be back. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you know what I did like about the show, and I've liked it in the last 2 weeks of the show? When's the next pay-per-view? Is it in, like, 3 weeks or so, maybe?
Yeah.
I like the fact that there have not been any matches actually announced for pay-per-view.
Why do you like that?
What's that?
Why do you like that?
I like it because it always feels like the first show after a pay-per-view, you're basically setting it almost like half the matches are set up the first week back or first week after a pay-per-view. I'd rather have a couple of these different feuds play out a little bit and not really be positive about a pay-per-view, but hey, you know what? Here's like this 5 or 6 matches I think that are going to happen, and have them like 2 a week where they actually get officially.
You make a good point, because then you're not locking yourself into booking, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and you don't have to mess around, because I mean, you know what? They could say after this show, they could say, hey, you know what? AJ Styles or Cesaro, you have to, instead of getting a title shot, guess who you get to wrestle? You get to wrestle Kevin Owens again. So
I want to wrestle Killer Kevin.
Would you put Killer Kevin across face Crippler?
Oh yeah, man. I would try and tap Killer Kev out as fast as I could. I would go for the jugular. Killer Kev, man, let me tell you something. Killer Kev, don't underestimate him. He could come up with something. He is a man looking for love in too many places, looking for love in too many faces. Let me tell you, man, that dude is looking for a fight. He's like the Acolytes. He's like Finlay. He loves to fight.
Wow. So what do you think about Jericho Ambrose?
Yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know. I think it'll be a good match. I mean, Jericho just seems to be on a roll, but I mean, Ambrose hasn't won a feud in a while, so something's got to give there. I hope they tell more of a story, right?
Yeah, that was sort of a lame and like it sort of rushed into.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, I got told to come out here and take your spot. Like, oh yeah.
Hey, you don't have a pay-per-view you don't have a match at the pay-per-view either? Okay, let's wrestle.
Yeah, they on paper they should put on an outstanding match. So we'll see. But I really want to see a story to go with it. I want to see Jericho really get carried away with himself as a heel. Like he's been hot. Maybe really get into, you know, how a guy like Dean Ambrose is the one guy in the Shield that didn't make it, and you know, maybe even draw a parallel to himself in WCW. I think there's a lot you could do with it, but they probably won't. They'll probably just book it and half-ass it, but I hope they do something with it.
I actually would like to see him get called out for being the only Shield member not to. I don't know. He's had championships before, I think, but not never world championships. So I think that would be pretty cool to call him out for that.
It'd be cool.
All right, man. Do you got anything else for tonight, or are you good?
That's all I got, man. That's all I got, brah.
I think I'm all set. Killer Kev, would you like to do the honors, my man?
Yep, and I'll just say this, tomorrow night, special episode of the Undisputed Wrestling Show, we will finally get down to business and have our interview with the Total Package, Lex Luger.
Wow. That sounds spectacular.
So tune in tomorrow night.
The Total Package, Big Dick.
I should show up and be like, you call yourself the Total Package? Check out this.
I'd like to see Vic's package on the air. Can we make that happen?
Dude, I saw this thing on Asbury Park Press, and it's like live streaming of like a video where you're like making a video, and they basically record your voice, but on the other side they record message.
Can you show your package?
Probably. Not an Asbury Park Press one. It's like basically like in their office, and they're talking about like their day's interviews and stuff. But I saw like 1 or 2 of them. And I'm like, you know what? It's like it'd be pretty funny to make something like that, and maybe even like wear my Donald Trump hat around and just see what kind of responses I get.
Donald Trump, man, is he gonna win?
I like his chances.
I don't know, man. It looks like the fix is in, buddy.
Yeah, whatever. You know what? That'll give us something to hate Colorado for.
Well, I hope everyone gets a chance to look at the Prince of Wrestling, Google him, learn about him. He's a real talented guy. That's all we got. So, thank you, Big Dick, for joining us this week. Killer Kev, if you could, bring us home, baby.